Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you to StudyIQ in this morning session of Hindu analysis videos. In the evening the PIB videos come and in the morning these videos come both in Hindi and English, and the PDF you can download from Telegram group and my Facebook group of IAS preparation. Today is 31st of January. This month is about to end and you see it is ending with a bang because huge number of articles are there today, and these are not articles. One is a total essay and this is by Mr. Former National Security Advisor. So we cannot skip these details. This lesson is going to be huge, so please be patient, and it is going to be very important from the prelims and mains both point of views. Okay, so I may have to leave some things for tomorrow. I will cover everything because rest of the 3 days there will be less number of articles. So that's the thing. One article is left from this week and I will cover the today's article if I'm going to leave one. So start it. Feel peace and feel satisfied with your struggle and the ability to struggle. You will win everything. You see, nothing can be more important than that because the most important thing is the habit, and the habit of winning. And how winning means, for any problem in your life, you observe that problem, you find the troubles, and you bring out the solutions, and you work on that consistently. That becomes your habit. And when you are struggling a lot in this phase, you will struggle a lot for sure. So you should feel satisfied that I am able to do this much struggle, I am this much able a person. Okay, you don't try to find the peace, you don't try to find the luxury, you just try to find your ability to struggle. That is the real peace, real satisfaction for you. It will empower you a lot, because you see, nothing can be better than getting the ability to struggle. Because if you are strong, I always say, if you are strong, then you can deal with any kind of situation, and if you are weak, you are not able to deal with the weakest of the situation, and you have now a big goal in front of you. So you will need a lot of ability, and ability would come if you have this habit of struggling, and habit would be there only if you consider this peace with your struggling ability. You always try to find your struggling ability, and you always aspire for this. You don't aspire for any kind of rest or luxury. It will empower you a lot, because you see, nothing can be better than getting the ability to struggle. Because if you are strong, I always say, if you are strong, then you can deal with any kind of situation, and if you are weak, you are not able to deal with the weakest of the situation, and you have now a big goal in front of you. So you will need a lot of ability, and ability would come if you have this habit of struggling, and habit would be there only if you consider this peace with your struggling ability. You always try to find your struggling ability, and you always aspire for this. You don't aspire for any kind of rest or luxury. So that's the thing. You will win every game. Your own struggle boosts your confidence the most. So your struggle should inspire you, and that's the real inspiration, that's the real motivation every day. Nothing inspires you better than your own struggle. Okay, and these pen drive courses by StudyIQ, these are extremely important, created by experts and selected people, and sit at your home and study peacefully. And these are covering the most important static syllabus, and the current syllabus is coming daily on the YouTube section. Okay, so these are important. Next, I found these words, try them in the vocabulary and in the sentences. Now the tutorials. This is not any editorial, this is a total essay. It is covering the total landscape of challenges which are there in front of India. So what we should do as a nation, what we should focus on as a government. So it is talking about all external and internal, both kinds of challenges it is talking about. Now see, although it's the election year, and it is the year of confusion, it is the year of aspiration, it is the year of a lot of expectation. Now the focus of the government is totally on the political gain and how to gain votes. That's for every government in this time. But you should see that the kind of discussions, the kind of debates which should run in our country, these are the issues which are pointed out in this particular article. And you see, world outlook looks gloomy because all kinds of negativities we can observe in today's world, which can be challenging. You see, if we become negative, then everything looks negative to us. That's okay, but these are facts. And you see, any person who is a national security advisor, or any person who is so given a big responsibility in the past, that person would always see towards challenges, because he knows all kinds of positivity activities are there, everyone knows about them, but he wants to warn us, he wants to make us aware about these challenges because he has the experience. So that's why it's a gold mine. This article is a gold mine for UPSC students. Okay, he says that there is a global leadership vacuum. Why leadership vacuum? Because nobody considers Trump as a world leader. He is a funny man. A lot of scholars say this thing. And you see, Trump's utterance and actions are provoking strong counter reactions. That's apparent because a lot of things are going on between US and China, and his faltering decisions about Syria, about Afghanistan, and the situation of USA in Afghanistan's scenario. So nothing gives confidence to USA, and still the Trump, the president, he is overconfident about his own agendas, about his own declarations, about his own missions. And the trade war is going on, and world has entered into a new kind of cold war between US and China, because these are the main rivalries today. But the equations are changing for these countries. You see, China and Russia are on a great equation today. Even Japan, who is the strategic ally of USA, is coming to a particular equation with China. They are coming closer, and some kind of friendships and these good motive summits are going on between China and Japan. Japan has endorsed China's Belt and Road Initiative. So what can be better than that? And in this challenging time for China, where economy is going somewhat down, and all kinds of sanctions are there, all kinds of tariffs are imposed by USA. So in this time, if Russia and Japan, they come together with China, then nothing can be better for China. And you see, the situation for China is very, very strong if we compare it with India today. So that's a challenging situation for India. If China becomes stronger, and these kind of situations are there in the world scenario, then certainly situation becomes obviously challenging for India. India is feeling comfortable in the lap of America today. It is said by a lot of scholars that we are finding a lot of comfort with the friendship of America as a big ally. But you see, this thing is not reliable, and it is not going to give us big output, because these kind of challenges are growing, and China is growing, Russia is growing, and we are not having the similar relationship which used to be there in the past with Russia, with China, with Japan. So that's the problem. And specifically with Russia, the situation is changing for us. Although we did this S-400 deal that boosted our relationship, but still the relations are somewhat strained, and we are inclined more towards America today. So that's the thing. And you see, in this world, all kinds of disturbances are going on. World is moving towards a tight policy. Although situations are gloomy, but you see, Federal Reserve rates are going up, and the investment is shifting from developing nations towards West, or the developed nation, or America's Federal Reserve, because they see more security there, and they see more secured and strong dollar. That's the trouble. And the situation with the rupee, you see, it's in huge trouble. And the economy of China is also going through a particular decline, but that's not a big problem for China. And China's devaluation was somewhat different from India's depreciation of rupee. Okay, so that's a challenge for India. Next, if we talk about the cross purposes, where nations are working against each other, because more and more protectionism is growing, more nations are talking about their own interests and their own favors, abilities, and their own link ups with the different nations. So the protectionism and conservatism is growing a lot, and that's a difficult trend for countries like India, who are in a developing stage. And that's why we raised this issue in the World Economic Forum also, that the countries who started globalization trend, and a lot of countries were benefited, this globalized trend benefited these developing countries like India. Now the anti-globalization wave and this conservatism and protectionism wave, that is gonna hurt us a lot. That's a ripple. And you see, when these trade and tariff wars are going on between big countries, then certainly this would become negative. Okay, and the free flow of trade, fair flow of trade is going to be difficult. And these institutions like WTO, they are totally stressed today. So countries like India, they are going to suffer a lot. If we talk about the situation of Russia, Russia is vigorously pursuing its pivot to Asia, because Russia is growing militarily, Russia is growing economically, and Russia is having a good equation with China today. They have come to a mutual stage where they both are benefited, and they have understood this, that we both can counter USA very easily, and USA is totally strained. And when they are rising, then Russia is trying to pursue the pivot to Asia, because historically Russia was the biggest nation in Asia, but today the situations are changed. China has become bigger, but still Russia finds its way, and Russia apparently is the open adversary of USA. And you see, China would never want to come in a direct confrontation with the USA, and Russia is an important country here to use. So Russia would also be interested here to become the leader of Asia. So that's the issue, because these strategic issues and these trouble between these nations, here Russia would be very much interested in the confrontation with USA. And already we have been observing these proxy wars in Syria and what is happening in Afghanistan. Russia is taking so much of interest, and America's condition is on decline. Everyone knows about that. So that's why Russia takes interest. About if we talk about its relation with China, its relation with South Korea, and even Japan, they are rising a lot, and they all are coming on a mutual platform. The situation in the Sea of Azov, I'm giving you a math question today. Find the Sea of Azov, Strait of Kerch, where the Black Sea is, and what is this issue of sanctions on Russia is. Because you see, since 2014, when this Crimean Peninsula, its annexation happened, and after that the tensions in the Sea of Azov, when this seizure of Ukraine's ship happened by Russia. So all these issues, they were a challenge for Russia. But you see, Russia likes these challenges from the USA's side, because West is putting a lot of pressure. But when Russia finds Asia in favor, then certainly Russia would want to take the leadership role here. We should not say that Russia likes these kind of things, these kind of pressures from West, but actually when it is finding a particular way in Asia, then certainly he would be happy. And when USA is on decline, so that's why it's a situation of Russia. But you see, nowhere India is talked here. India used to be a big ally for Russia, but we don't see the name India here. Next, if we talk about China, China is consolidating its position in Asia. Everyone knows about that. And China is becoming so huge a nation that USA is totally at confrontation with China. And that because of the rivalry, the power of China, it sees in the space sector, in the world trade scenario. You see, Belt and Road Initiative is there, and now apart from this CPEC, the China-Myanmar economic corridor is also coming. So all these issues are raising China's stand to bigger heights, and everyone would be afraid of China if this rivalry grows up. Now see, in this situation, nobody can deny that China is undisputed leader of Asia, specifically this Indo-China region. And India is not comparable to China today. That's a truth. That's the biggest truth. Belt and Road Initiative, China is coming together with Japan, and even Vietnam is endorsing the Belt and Road Initiative. So what would be better than that? If we look positively for the condition of China, what can be better than that? Now see, nowhere till now India's name did not appear. So India finds itself increasingly isolated in Asia as a result. And seriously, this is happening. We have been aspiring a lot that we become a leader of Asia, and we want to become a leader, we want to become a superpower, but the investment capacities are follow up to the initiatives that we started like Chabar and all. So these all things are not taking us to that level. That's the problem. And we cannot compare ourselves with China. That's ridiculous today. Although on domestic front for political gains we can say anything, that we can destroy China in moments and all, but and China is totally trembling out of our howitzer tanks and all. So these things are a complete joke today, because whatever China's might is, that is certainly on another level. Okay, we have recently seen the China's investment in military wise and its R&D sectors initiative. These all things are very huge. So today if we say that India is better than China, that's ridiculous. Okay, that's a truth denying completely. Okay, so India finds itself increasingly isolated, because these big countries, they are talking at their own level and they are coming together. But in spite of being here, and we are a big nation of the SAARC group, but we are only finding our place in SAARC. That's a practical thing, because we are becoming isolated here. China's might is growing. China has overtaken Sri Lanka, and it is giving huge investment in Myanmar, and Bangladesh is also in pressure. Nepal is always in pressure. China-Pakistan relations are always great these years, because no trouble till now we see in China-Pakistan relations. So anyhow, China's investment capacity and China's might is affecting these small nations, and they are okay with India, but they are more influenced with China. So that's why it's a situation. And you see, economic portents of this situation, they are totally against India's interest. Okay, you see, politics is conflicting with business across the world. We have been seeing this trend, and we have seen the Brexit issue. This is ever going for years now. Britain is totally mired with this situation, and they are not able to come out of it. It seems like nothing is more important than Brexit for the country of UK. So what's going on there? These are all troubles, and these are mainly the political troubles, because conservatism and statesmanship and one-man show in countries, that's on rise. You see Modi in India, you see Trump in America, you see May in UK, and you see Merkel in Germany. So we only see these great leaders in these countries, and they are dominating the scene. But somehow, because of this leadership, we must say that this highlighting leadership is creating a lot of troubles also, that some big issues are hanging, and this politics is conflicting with the business across the world. That's the situation. Okay, now ties with Russia and Japan, if we see, they are on a reset, because things are not similar as they were in 80s, 90s and 2000s with Russia, and things are changing, because we are more inclined towards the USA, and we are finding more comfort with USA. That's the trouble. And although we don't gain much, that's the situation, although we don't gain much. And if we compare a situation where we are at a good equation with China, we are at a very friendly relation with Russia, and we are good with Japan, and we become very, very good with South Korea, because all these nations are coming together. And if we are happy with these nations, and we don't have any trouble, we don't have any rivalry, we don't have any we can say confusions in our relationship, then certainly we would need USA far lesser. Okay, so that's the situation. But we are with USA today, and these countries and our relation with them, these are on a reset. Okay, so India will need to expand a great deal of its diplomatic capital. This is the time when we invest our diplomatic capital, we invest our image, we invest our ability, our genuine minds, and that thing is needed, because the relationship with China today, that should be India's top priority. If this thing doesn't improve, then certainly we can be having a lot of troubles in the future, and that's apparent. Okay, because China's rise is a unavoidable thing, and India-China relations are marked a surface calm. Doklam issue happened, after that not much happened, but situations are not, you may say that these are maintaining a surface calm. There may be a boiling beneath the surface. Okay, and these things may erupt if any kind of negative escalations are there on the border. So these things may give a lot of troubles, but trade, cultural relations, they are anyhow maintaining this surface calm. So we should appreciate the calm more. Okay, and we should not thump our chest again and again for our political gains, that we will do this, we will do that, and China would be trembling in fear and all. These kind of things will not work. China-Myanmar economic corridor, as I discussed, in the lines of CPEC, now they are starting CMEC, and that is going to be huge for India. If that thing becomes possible, that thing is operational in a near future, then certainly India is surrounded. On the oceanic front also, because Chinese Navy is poised to challenge India's position in the Indian Ocean, and Chinese submarines already outnumber India's here in this Indian Ocean. So we are circled here. You see Hambantota with Sri Lanka, and this is Sitwe port, and here this is a different port from Myanmar. You see Kyukyu port, it's here. Kyukyu port is here, and it is constructing a channel to join this Andaman Sea and Gulf of Thailand. Okay, and here it is the Gwadar port. So all these things are somehow circling India. Okay, on the waterfront, on the land front. So in both these areas we are being circled, and China is way more efficient than us. Okay, so that is going to give us a big challenge. You see Arakan coast, it's an important question for prelims. This is Arakan coast, this is Arakan coast, this is Arakan Yuma range, and this is Arakan coast. Okay, this is Gulf of Martaban, and this is Strait of Malacca, and all these areas, peninsula. I'm giving you this question in the map. Find all these areas, all these straits, and all these oceans and seas. Okay, Kra Canal, the same canal which is joining these Andaman Sea and Gulf of Thailand. This is Kra Canal. Okay, so it is going to be built by China. That's important. And China's existing control over Gwadar and Hambantota, they are already challenging India. So China is circling us. If we are growing our confusion between India-China relations, and if we are anyhow escalating, if China take this as a escalation, then certainly it can be a problem for India and China both. But certainly we will be at bigger loss. Okay, because China's might everyone knows, and everyone would come with him, because all these countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar, they are small countries and they need investment, and China can give him an investment. China's capacities till now it is bigger, and India's capacity is nowhere a match. So that's the trouble. And if we talk about China-Pakistan relations, they are also going very good, and out of their good relations, these groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, they are also very much confident, and they are so confident that they are ready to continue the troubles in Kashmir. Okay, and you see Afghan state is perilously close to imploding. Only Afghan government is inviting us, USA is inviting us, but all these countries which are bigger stakeholders, China, Russia, and other groups, means the Taliban, so they all have in a way cornered us or isolated us, because in the context of Taliban, we have denied that without any condition we are not going to talk with Taliban on a table, and our army general's statement was differing from the government's statement. So these are confusions for the Afghanistan issue. And when China-Pakistan relations are going well, and China is supporting Pakistan is supporting China's involvement in Afghanistan, and Pakistan is also successful in bringing Russia on the table. So when Pakistan can invite China and Russia both for the Afghanistan situation, and Pakistan is very much influencing in the Taliban's issue, it is actually organizing the meet for these nations with Taliban group. So Pakistan is playing a dominant role here in the Afghanistan situation, and even USA has invited Pakistan. It has thanked Pakistan, and it has invited a cooperation from Pakistan after having so many troubles, so many sanctions, and this discontinued grant to Pakistan by USA. So even after that, USA is inviting Pakistan. So here we are again isolated. Okay, and that is also in a way showing us that our influence is not much in the region also, even in the Afghanistan situation. Okay, so that's a challenge for us. That's a negative approach, but that's certainly a challenge. Okay, now mixed challenges. You see, with Maldives we retrieved our position, and now there are no issues with Maldives, and somehow the situation improved. And the return of Sheikh Hasina was also in our favor, because Sheikh Hasina's regime is pro-India. So that's again a welcome relief for us. And you see, China situation, there are no more escalation after Doklam, so that's also a very positive thing. But still, we need to work very, very hard, because China is influencing our neighbors a lot. Nepal, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, they all are feeling a lot of pressure, and certainly these small countries will go towards China, because they cannot have trouble with China and favor India. That cannot be a situation. So certainly these things are going to be any areas where we need to work a lot. We need to use our resources to assist Bangladesh also, to limit the influence of all radical Islamist groups there, because if in the region this radicalization it grows, then certainly it will be a problem for a country like India, where already all these issues are going on, and the issue of polarization domestically, which is creating a lot of political troubles. So there can be a very negative developments. Okay, so that's a problem. And you see, left-wing extremism is always a problem for India. That's an internal problem. And the situation in Kashmir, that's certainly a big issue. Apart from Kashmir, the Northeast is all again. There are negative developments in Northeast because of this citizenship bill. Okay, you see, in Kashmir we saw the highest level of violence this year, and this looks unlikely to be resolved. You see these kind of developments, more and more educated youth are joining these militancy, and recently Shah Faisal, he gave his resignation, and he said that situations are very bad with Kashmir, and center is not taking any heed here. So these kind of developments are losing our confidence here. And if we talk about Northeast, then this citizen amendment bill, it is uniting a lot of groups in Northeast, and Northeast groups, they are always very notorious. If they again develop negatively against the center, then certainly it is going to be a huge challenge for center to tackle them. We have seen troubles in the past, in 80s, 70s, a lot of troubles were there. And anyhow, the situation is calm today. But again, the citizenship amendment bill, the issue of preserving these indigenous communities, that is again on boil. So this can develop drastically negative in this area. So that's a problem. And the Dalit and farmers unrest, that's again a big issue of security, because it is not now a situation where these are only economic problems. These are turning into bigger political problems, and these are going to be unrests, because the kind of suicides we have seen, the kind of provocations against the Dalit communities we have seen, the kind of torture these Dalit people, they are experiencing. So these things can become a security issue for India internally. So these are all challenges for India, and all are really worrisome. So we need to tackle all of them. Although this was a negative one, but it has shown us a mirror. It has shown us a mirror. It has shown mirror to the government also, that these are the troubles. We need to focus on these issues, and if we are going to focus on these, then certainly our situation would improve drastically. That's again a big truth. Okay, next article is regarding the gold and the price surge. You see, for 10 grams gold, now the highest hit is 33,800 rupees. Okay, and it is unprecedented. And the reasons which are given in this article are the price depreciation. India's rupee is on a big decline here, and you see US dollar is very strong these days. And when uncertainties are going on in the world trade, in the world politically, then certainly people will move towards the secure avenues, and gold is a kind of security in these uncertain times. People are hoarding gold. So because of this hoarding also, this price is rising. Okay, price is rising. And you see, in 2012 these prices, they came down heavily. After that, the mining of this gold, that also came down. And because of this less mining and now the less supply, the price is rising again. So this goes like this. The phase comes when mining is more, then prices become less. After that, the phase would come that mining would become less and the prices would rise. So this goes in a cycle always. So this cycle is going, this phase is going, but additional factors are also working here. Okay, you see, gold is a standard in the world economy. Gold has been the greatest standard, and it is also a big boost for our forex reserves, and our currencies can also be fluctuated because of our gold reserves. Okay, if we are having bigger gold reserves, then certainly we are much more confident. But you see, for our gold reserves, these are not huge like USA or China. They are having enormously huge gold deposits, gold reserves. We as a country are a big gold importer, but officially in our forex reserve, this is not a big amount. And you see, these schemes like sovereign gold bonds schemes, they were not on expected lines. They were not hugely successful, and some of the schemes are kind of a failure. So you see, these all issues are going on with the gold sector, and that's why the prices of gold are coming very high these days. Okay, and still you see, US dollar is so strong that gold is still priced well below its all-time high of over $1,500 that was reached in 2012. So still US dollar is very, very strong, and that's also a big factor. Now see, backdrop of rising uncertainties, as I told you, they are derailing the global economy. So more uncertainties means more secure avenues and more hoarding of gold. And the rupee factor, as I told you, last year significantly depreciated. Okay, and now investors hoarding gold, and they are seeking more financially safe avenues, so turning towards gold. So these are the issues. Okay, so inflationary pressures which are there across the globe, they are also making people turn towards gold, because you see, if inflation rises in the economy, then what happens? Then the price depreciates, the currency depreciates. Okay, you see, this happens in inflation. If we are buying 1 kg of apple for 40 rupees, and after some time, if 1 kg is for 60 rupees, then this 20 rupees is the inflation, and that means the rupee is losing its value. So when a rupee will lose its value, then certainly people would trust less, and if they are trusting less on the currency, then they will turn more towards gold. They will buy more gold. So that is going to happen here. Okay, so that's the trouble with world economy also. Next article, the case for minimum basic income. You see, we have discussed many points regarding the basic income. It is a pro argument for this basic income, and the writer is saying that the government has announced the full budget. You see, interim budget, vote on account, and this full budget is there. Full budget takes 2 months, and all schemes, all policy initiatives, and all receipts and expenditures, they are announced under it. And you see, article 112 talks about the annual financial statement. Okay, and that's called budget. The budget as a word is not used in the constitution. Okay, it is not used in the constitution. Only annual financial statement is used. And you see, vote on account talks only about the expenditure that the government needs for 2, 3, 4 months. Okay, so now they should come with a vote on account, but they are coming with full budget this time, not even interim budget. What is interim budget? Where they talk about expenditures, but they also talk about receipts, but not big announcements, policy initiatives are taken. So it's a simple form, it's a limited form of full budget. We can call it the interim budget. But you see, they are coming with the full budget. They are so confident this time that they would come back, and this budget that they are going to announce, it is not going to be cancelled by any other government. So that's the thing. Now see, in this time, it is highly likely that they would announce this universal basic income phenomena to address the rural distress and the agricultural distress. It's very likely, because all governments, they do and they take these kind of measures at this time. Okay, so it is the writer, she is talking about a particular pilot project, and we had discussed this issue. This same example was given by a different writer. She is talking that in 2010 to 13, 10 and 13, covering 6,000 beneficiaries in Delhi and Madhya Pradesh on a limited scale as a pilot project. This was tried. This universal basic income was tried, and I also discussed that that was a unique one because the kids, the women and the males, they all were given their own money separately. Okay, so it brought very positive consequences in their lives. It was seen against the popular views that they will waste their money, they will use this money in the drinking and alcohol and something like that. That did not happen much. Okay, they saw a 1000% rise in the consumption of pulses, 888% rise in the vegetables uses, and 600% rise in the meat consumption. So that was very positive, and that was giving a great evidence that if this universal basic income is applied as a good model, then certainly it can change whole scenario, and certainly people would become positive about it, because a lot of speculations and cynicism is going on. Because yesterday's article was about this cynicism against this universal basic income, and they were more talking about the universal basic capital. Okay, so that's the issue. Now reforms since 1991, they have largely bypassed agriculture. That's a truth, because only the middle class, rich class, these enterprises, these private concerns, and mainly the government, they are the beneficiary of the economic liberalization phase that started in 1991 after the IMF conditions, and we had to open our markets. Okay, so that happened, and after that, because of this globalization trend and all, we benefited a lot. But agriculture was totally ignored here, and the growth never could above 4%. It always remained less than that, and it was same in the previous phase before 1991. Okay, as we discussed about Indian economy in two phases, pre 1991 and post 1991. Very big change happened in 1991. So that's why agriculture was totally ignored, and till date it is ignored, and these are the consequences that we are experiencing today, that the distress has taken a shape of movements against the government, and that's why these are serious policy failures. And because these are policy failures, that's why this universal basic income is a kind of a reparation or compensation. It's a compensation according to the writer. Okay, and we need to compensate for our policy failures, here she says, and that's happening. And you see this inequality concept, that's a major problem again, because inequality would rise, then more and more people would be pushed towards poverty. Then also we need this universal basic income, so that at least people would not die out of hunger. And you see in the West also, as we discussed, that these big companies, enterprises and the governments, they are pushing for this universal basic income because of this inequality and less employment. Nobody can guarantee employment, they cannot guarantee, but this thing is possible, basic income is possible. So that's the issue. Next, see, we have urgent need to address our rural distress. It has reached up to very negative a level where suicides are unstoppable, and these reparations are necessary for farmers, especially because maximum number of people are employed in the farming sector, and that is totally giving the distress. Okay, you see some schemes like Ritu Bandhu of Telangana and the Kali of Odisha. These are great models. If we are going to apply this universal basic income, then these can be models here. You see, they handled rural distress very efficiently. And Kalia scheme is better than this Ritu Bandhu, because there is a problem with Ritu Bandhu that it is excluding these landless tenants, sharecroppers and landless laborers. It is excluding that. It is only giving benefit 10,000 per hectare to these landowners only. So that's the trouble. But this Kalia scheme is giving 12,500 rupees to landless laborers. That's a great boost. They can use this money to rear goats, poultry and mushrooms and honey, which are non-farm incomes. Okay, and the schemes like Mission for Integrated Development of Horticulture, they can be boosted, because horticulture, the fruit, vegetables, all these areas are big income boosters if you are not possessing big land. Okay, so these people are given a benefit here. So that's how it is a overall good scheme. Krishak assistance for livelihood and income assistance. So these are income assistance schemes, but how much viable these schemes are and till how long we can support farmers like this, because we need big investment here. And you see these MSPs and all, these all are institutional measures, but you see MSP also gives wrong signals to farmers for the next year. That is also a valid point, because in this year if MSP is announced and they are announcing it on a higher number, that's okay for this year, but for the next year they are confused that what kind of crop we should grow, that we will be getting higher MSP. So here also some problems are there. So this universal basic income can help a lot. Okay, and you see in schemes like Narega they are getting employment, so there also some additional avenues will be open if they are going to get these 12,500 rupees like benefit, or this universal basic income benefit. That is going to be the additional one, and they may try for some other things. Next, these waivers, loan waivers, they are always partial and they are not covering the universal population. We have seen the examples of Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan now, and they are finding it very difficult to apply this scheme of loan waiver. But anyhow, these are going on. These are moral hazards that some people are benefited, some are not. You can select people on the basis of social economic caste census, because caste is a big factor in India, and this SECC data is the most reliable one. So we can choose people based on this particular data. But you see, we need to take care of a lot of issues. We need to be very cautious that maximum number of people are getting this benefit. So this universal basic income concept is going to be a good boost for the poor section. Not boost, but anyhow they will survive. Because it is the question of survival. That's the issue. Okay. So these schemes, we need to find the fiscal space here, that how much capable the state is. You see, if this deficit is gonna rise, if they are not finding any fiscal space, and this fiscal deficit would rise because of the UBI implementation, then certainly after some time inflation would grow, and again the poor would not benefit. They will not benefit because inflation would rise and they won't be able to buy anything. And you see, we need to manage these positive funds. How we can manage? You see, government has collected more than 5 lakh crore rupees out of these taxes, royalty payments, petroleum products, their incomes and all. Okay, so that's a great thing. They can use it, and we can streamline distortionary and demerit subsidies, which are not much useful, and there are a lot of misuses. So we can streamline them, and we should appreciate the merit subsidies. What are merit subsidies? Which are given for healthcare, education, water conservation, and environment. Because any government subsidize these sectors, then certainly that government is really want to do some progress. Otherwise they are only concerned about the political gains and votes if they are not investing in these sectors. So any kind of subsidy that would go to these sectors, these are going to be merit subsidies. We should appreciate them, and we should not appreciate them. We can save 70,000 crore rupees by streamlining these demerit subsidies, so they can avail the money for this UBI scheme. Okay, so that's good. Next, wealth tax that was abolished in 2015 for the rich people. You see, the people who are earning thousands of crores of rupees, they would not be having much negative impact if they are paying some crore rupees as tax, as wealth tax. That's genuine, because the people who are earning thousands of crores of rupees, it's unmanageable for them that how do I manage my money. Really, it's a problem for these people. So what is the meaning of this luxury when people are dying on street out of lack of food? Even one bread they are not able to afford. So these people are not so ineligible to survive, that you are earning 1,000 crore rupees and you are not able to pay tax, and these people are dying on the street out of hunger, out of cold. These days many people are dying out of cold. They are sleeping on the street, so nothing can be pitiable than that. Okay, so that's the thing. We should start this again. And taxpayers also, they must realize that agri prices and these farm incomes, they are not free market driven. They are always subsidized, and the government needs to do a lot of things like buffer stocks and all, and price management and MSPs and all. So these are troubles for government. So taxpayer also, they should understand. But that's a different reality, that taxpayers are the most suppressed people, because they are paying direct taxes, they are paying indirect taxes. Okay, so it's a trouble for them. But anyhow, we need to manage. Now see, it is going to be a huge challenge for this government what they are going to take, what they are going to decide about it, because challenges are there on all the sides. They need to take priorities, and how they are going to discuss it, how they are going to manage it in this election time, that is going to be a huge challenge. Okay, so next article, getting back on the track, very fast way we are going to discuss this. President Cyril Ramaphosa, his visit to India last week was significant, because this article is not much explanatory. It is only giving some positive points here, that some things are improved. Okay, strengthening the people to people aspect of bilateral relationship, it is improved now, and they are focusing on previous agreements. Now they have signed a 3-year agreement for this strategic ties, and they are revising this 2 decades old relationship, strategic relationship. So that's a good thing. And Ramaphosa followed in the footsteps of President Nelson Mandela, and that's a good thing, because it was the year when 150th birth anniversary was there for Mahatma Gandhi. So Mahatma Gandhi was the most common person for countries of South Africa and India. Okay, you see, the first Gandhi Mandela Memorial Freedom Lecture that happened, and you see, it was hosted by Indian Council of World Affairs. So that's a question for prelims. And Mr. Ramaphosa said that we are 2 sister countries, separated by an ocean but bound by history. So these are positive vibes. And you see the map here, India is here, South Africa is here, and historically these sailors, they used to come circling South Africa and coming to India like this. So since that age, South Africa is very, very important. Okay, and defense and economic cooperation, we are also taking strides here. It was now time to concentrate on implementation, since progress has been slow. You see, a lot of announcements were there, and a lot of cooperation areas are there. We are BRICS member, we are EPSA member, and we are there on various other platforms. So we can work on many things, but you see, the implementation and the progress was slow. But now it's the time for implementation and concentrate on progress. So that we are doing. So finalization of strategic program for cooperation is a positive thing here. And you see, the next 3 years would be on promoting defense and economic cooperation. That's the most sensitive area. And you see, we are separated by Indian Ocean. So that's the most important area from the geopolitical context. Okay. Next, African Public Enterprise DENL is again allowed in India. You see, it was banned out of some corruption issues, and also now again it is allowed because it has a good capacity. It was a blacklisted company for some years in India now, but because of its world-class infrastructure and technological advancement, it is again allowed. So DENL company is for South Africa, a defense manufacturer. Okay, and now in maritime security training exercises, everywhere we are working together. So that's a very important thing. Small size of South African economy, slow rate of growth, and South Africa's rigid business visa regimes. These are some hindrances, these are some troubles, but they can be taken care of, because you see, in this particular visit, Ramaphosa agreed to reform the visa regime. That they're saying that the business visa regime, we are going to make it flexible and smooth. So it will boost up the trade ties between both these nations, and investment from India's side would be most welcomed in very few sectors. Okay, agri-processed goods, mining equipment, technology, finance sector, and defense equipment, they are going to be a big trade boost. You see, the gold, diamond, there are great mines in South Africa, in Johannesburg and all. Okay, so in Pretoria, Johannesburg. So these are great areas of mining, and huge deposits of gold and diamond are there in South Africa. So that's great for the trade. And this multilateral grouping, Indian Ocean Rim Association, EPSA, as I told you, now there are some kind of a revival of EPSA, because due to BRICS, the whole focus shifted towards BRICS and BRICS Bank and AIIB and all these SCO and all these groups, and EPSA was somewhat ignored. But again, there are some chances that this year India may be willing to host the much delayed EPSA summit. Okay, so that's the thing, and both are ready for this. And Modi and President Ramaphosa agreed on measures to further strengthen the IORA also. So these are all positive steps, and this visit was very much a progressive one and a tie boosting one for both these countries. Okay, and two new agreements of cooperation. You see what are these two cooperation agreements. You see, Research and Information System for Developing Countries, a policy research institute in Delhi, and two premier South African think tanks. They both are given a task that they would be entrusted with the task to conduct joint research and dialogue in 1.5 track format between both these nations, so that practical cooperation that can be boosted between both these countries of India and South Africa. So these think tanks are given a responsibility. So that's a great thing, because these are the most successful suggestion giving exercises, most productive exercises. So that's a great thing. So it's a notable plus. It's a win-win situation for both these countries. And again, South Africa would be finding it easy if it becomes easy with India, because in Asia the politics is somewhat very much confusing. Which way to go? China is rising, India is also rising, and a lot of situations are there. How to balance the situation between China and India? These both are big nations, so it was difficult for South Africa also. So now it may find some avenues here. Okay, so now I'm going to conclude this lesson. Very less 1-2 informations are left. Okay, so it is going to be a problem today because the lesson has become so huge, and I cannot escape these details. These are very huge and very important articles from the mains point of view and the prelims point of view both. Okay, so rest of the matter, 2-3 pages I will take tomorrow. And thanks a lot. I'm very sorry this lesson was very huge, because all data are important. I cannot skip these details, because exam point of view these details are very crucial. Thanks a lot. Keep